Tonight, Attorney General Jeff Sessions set to testify tomorrow on Russia. Will he finally put this story to bed? Plus, Democrats in disarray as Bernie Sanders tries to yank the party further to the left. Can Dems hold it all together? And Evander Holyfield is in the house to spill the beans on his Hall of Fame boxing career. Lace up your gloves. It's time to dance. Loretta Lynch thought she'd be in beast mode once Hillary was elected, so she provided political cover to the Democratic nominee by conveniently snatching the blindfold off Lady Liberty while Lynch was Attorney General. Justice was not only far from blind under her watch. When it came to Hillary, it had LASIK. Instead of two best gals riding off in a powerful herstory, Hillary's loss was more like the ending to Beaches, with Loretta as Bette Midler and Hillary playing Barbara Hershey. You know, the friend who dies while the other one gets a hit single. Yeah. Well, this ethical slippery slope gave then FBI Director James Comey that not-so-fresh feeling.
At one point, the Attorney General had directed me not to call it an investigation, but instead to call it a matter. So that gave me a queasy feeling.
Oh, I have the vapors. While the president took some reputational shrapnel during Comey's testimony last week, it was the collusion grenade that blew up in Lynch's face, exploding into bipartisan disgust.
Comey said that Lynch, the request gave him a queasy feeling. He felt clearly that Loretta Lynch was giving cover to the Clinton campaign. Was she?
I can't answer that. I would have a queasy feeling too, though, to be candid with you. I think we need to know more about that. And there's only one way to know about it, and that's to have the Judiciary Committee take a look at that.
Feinstein is also on the Judiciary Committee, so this golden gal is about to hear Hillary sing, "Thank you for being an enemy," if she gets her senatorial meat hooks into Loretta's bruised shanks. So expect more committees, more hearings, more grandstanding, more testimony, and less truth. And you can thank the ethically challenged James Comey for weaseling his way through these hearings.
You can call us wrong, but don't call us weasels. We are not weasels.
Oh, no, you're the weasel, Jim. And now you don't have your badge and your title to protect you. Well, you do have Robert Mueller, and you guys are all googly-eyed for each other, you Hoover-esque perverts. This whole thing brings conflict of interest to a new level. And with people like James Comey and Loretta Lynch guiding the justice bus, they could do far more harm to a country than the Russians could ever dream. You're a dream, you're here, I'm glad. And I'm Kennedy. Could Loretta Lynch be in big trouble now? And does the lack of any Comey memos on her help the Trump administration? Judge Andrew Napolitano joins me, Fox News senior judicial analyst. So the former FBI, welcome back.
Oh, thank you. Oh, it's a pleasure.
Awesome.
Pleasure.
So the former FBI director obviously took very specific and copious notes on his conversations with the current president. But when it came to the former Attorney General, do we have any such memoranda?
Well, he hasn't indicated that he did that. He was asked if he took notes in his meetings with President Obama. Said he only met with him twice and didn't feel the need to take notes. When asked why he began taking notes with President Trump, he said because he might have a different view of our conversation than I did, which of course eventually came out. In the Loretta Lynch matter, though, he has basically accused her of a federal felony called misconduct in office, which is covers a large umbrella of activities, one of which is making law enforcement decisions for political purposes, for political gain of one's friends or political harm of one's enemies.
Yeah, and Comey was obviously so upset by the conversation. You know, he was seeking approval to go out and tell the world that Hillary Clinton was in fact under criminal investigation. And Lynch said, that's fine, you can announce that, but you must use the term matter. Yep. And he was so upset by that. And when he learned about the meeting between Loretta Lynch and Bill Clinton, that is what tipped him to give that very public explanation of why no charges were being pursued.
Well, the why no charges is still sticks in a lot of people's craw, including your humble colleague, because he can say the Attorney General has conflicted herself I'm telling you what the Justice Department will do. There isn't enough evidence to indict, or if there isn't enough evidence to convict. He can do that. But then for him to say, by the way, here's all the evidence we found of her guilt, and there's a mountain of it, is what caused everybody to scratch their heads. But for Loretta Lynch, let me tell you what got to him.
Yeah.
It was an elbow in his ribs. It was FBI agents saying to him, hey, Director, are you now the director of the Federal Bureau of Matters rather than the Federal Bureau of Investigation? Finally, he lost his cool and said, it's a criminal investigation. That's what we do, period.
Yeah.
That was before the meeting on the tarmac between Bill Clinton and Loretta Lynch. But she has a lot of problems, Kennedy, and a lot of answering to do. And Jeff Sessions, unless he's going to recuse himself from this, then Rod Rosenstein, his #1 deputy, should be opening up a criminal investigation of former Attorney General Loretta Lynch on the Jim Comey well-grounded allegation of misconduct in office.
Yeah, and there were a couple of issues that Democrats took umbrage with from Comey's testimony. And, you know, one was him leaking the memo to his friend, who then gave it to the New York Times, and the other was the conversation that we've been discussing with Loretta Lynch.
I got to talk to you about leaks. There is no legal definition of a leak, but a leak usually in journalistic parlance refers to the surreptitious release of material that is classified or privileged.
Yeah.
In this case, it was not classified, it was not privileged, and he wrote it. Guess who in the federal system decides whether material is classified or privileged? The author.
Yeah.
So he is at perfect liberty to read to someone else or give to someone else this non-classified, non-privileged memo he wrote to himself.
And he said that he purposefully didn't mark it as classified so it would get out there. He said that he purposefully gave it to a friend who then gave it to the New York Times verbally.
Right.
So we would now have this special counsel.
Look, Bob Mueller has these. He'll decide what to do with them. The Senate Judiciary Committee and the Senate Intelligence Committee have subpoenaed the Columbia Law School professor, who is a former federal prosecutor, friend and colleague of Director Comey, for his copies of them. I think eventually this stuff is going to come out. The president says there might be tapes, there might not be tapes.
Yeah.
I don't think the president kept notes of the conversation, but he says, I'm willing to testify under oath about my version of these events. Eventually, it's going to come out, and the public will decide who they believe.
Last question. We only have a couple of seconds left. What happens to Loretta Lynch?
That's up to Jeff Sessions. In my view, she should be a target of the federal criminal prosecution for misconduct in office, and the basis for that was laid out by Jim Comey.
All right. Is there a congressional investigation that happens as well?
According to Dianne Feinstein, there will be one, but the Congress can't indict.
All right.
Only the Justice Department can ask a grand jury to indict.
Very good. Thank you so much, Judge.
You're welcome.